nearly killed Steve Scalise.
Wow, it's going to be emotional. The House Majority Whip suffered life-threatening injuries and is still in the process of building himself up after a left-wing activist opened up fire on his team.
A Capitol Police officer, an aide, and a lobbyist were also hurt. Scalise is expected, though, to start at second base at Nationals Park in Washington. How awesome is that?
That's great. The GOP's team manager and coach, Texas Representative Roger Williams, and his staffer, Zach Barth, who was shot during practice last year. They are live, as you can see, with Steve at Nationals Park. Steve?
All right, Ainsley, thank you very much. Roger, Zach, thanks for coming early. I know batting practice for y'all starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time. How hard is it to put on your cleats today, Roger, knowing what happened a year ago?
Well, we think about it, but it actually was fun to put the cleats on today, knowing what happened a year ago. It just seemed like it was yesterday, but here we are at the ballpark, ready to play baseball, and it's an interesting moment because all of us reflect back on what happened last year. It's affected all of us in certain ways.
You were, when the guy started shooting over in Alexandria, he was over by the third base dugout. And you, Zach, were out in the outfield doing what?
I was out there just kind of shagging balls and helping out with the practice. It's never something you expect.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what happened?
So, I hear this loud crack and, everything's going through your mind. And I think to myself, what is this? But then I hear somebody say, shooter, he's got a gun, run. And I can, see him the whole time. So I try to, put the most distance between myself and him as possible.
So you did what? You ran.
Yeah, so I ran, but then I had nowhere to go. I ran to the right field corner, just got onto
You were wide open there.
I was wide open, got onto all fours, and then he started shooting at me. He probably shot at me, 5-10 times and got me in the leg.
Right.
And at that point I decided, he's getting pretty close. I'm not going to let him keep taking shots at me. So I ran down to the dugout.
And when you got to the dugout, you were bleeding badly, and another member of Congress took off his belt.
Right, I was already in the dugout, and Mo Brooks took it.
You jumped in the dugout, and you messed up your ankle.
I messed up my ankle, and Mo Brooks was there. He took his belt off. Jeff Flake was across from me, and Jeff helped put the belt on his leg. We were doing everything we could. And the guys firing at everybody, so everybody reacted appropriately. It was everybody did their thing.
They did, and then while you are tending to Zach, who actually jumped into your arms, and you're in that dugout right there, over there was Steve Scalise, and he was down. He was pinned down, and you guys couldn't get to him.
We couldn't get to him. We knew he was down, and it was happening so fast. A lot of prayers were going on, but finally, when it finally stopped, Brad Winstrup was able to get out to him and begin to save his life.
And thank goodness the Capitol Police were there.
Yeah. Totally. If they hadn't been there, it would have been a different story.
And they were there because Steve Scalise is a member of leadership. And had a member of leadership not been there, this would have been a much different story.
Well, the day before, there was no leadership there, so we had no security just the day before.
Right. And Zach, you and I were talking a little while ago. It was a political assassination attempt because what did the guy say to some passerby?
Yeah, absolutely. He asked them, I think it was Jeff Duncan, he asked them if these are Republicans practicing. And you look at the rhetoric that he was spewing online, he was there to kill Republicans.
Terrible. All right, fast forward to today. Today is this has been going on since 1909.
Right.
I know it's a bitter rivalry. Actually, I'm being funny because this is the one partisan issue in Washington that is fun for people. People love to come to this game.
Well, it's a big deal, and last year we had about 30,000 people here. Well, sure we'll have about the same amount tonight. The game is pretty close to being even over all this period of time.
Yeah.
And we've been working out since middle of April every morning from 6 to 8 o'clock, and we're ready to go. We're going to win the ball game.
You did invite the President of the United States. Is he going to come?
Well, I don't know. He's a busy man. Everybody'd love to have the President come, but I don't know if he's coming or not.
Let me ask you just real quickly, emotionally, it's been 1 year. If something like that happened to me, where you're pinned down by a gunman who's shooting 60 rounds for over 10 minutes, you ever wake up in the middle of the night right back there?
Well, we all have a different story. I think about it a lot. It's affected me. When I hear a loud noise, I do jump a little bit.
Last week,
it affected me when a loud noise went off, and we were even in a hearing, and the gavel went down, and I went down with it. Yeah. And but I don't profess, as I tell people, I'm not a warrior. I just was there, but it's affected all of our lives in one way or another.
Absolutely. And in this last year as well, since the shooting, you guys were on that train to the Greenbrier, the retreat, the Republican retreat that hit the garbage truck, and immediately people thought it was terrorism aimed at the Republicans again.
Well, that's exactly right. And when you hit a train, or when you hit a truck in the middle of the road with a train going 70 miles an hour, that's another thing that makes you wonder if you're in the right place at the right time.
The day after he was shot, Congressman, he went back to work.
Yes.
He's a special kid.
No, this is a special young man, and you know, I've told the story in that dugout, as I told you earlier. We had 24-year-old Zach, we had 12-year-old Jack Barton, we had 68-year-old Roger Williams, and even those generations, we have that bond now together that will never leave. That we were under fire, we stayed together. God was with us, and He took care of us.
Well, it's a pleasure. Good luck tonight,
Thank you a lot.
Congressman.
Thank you.
Zach, now get back to work. All right. Ainsley, Brian, Todd, back to you.
Awesome.